Okay. Okay, let's go. Let's go. It's Gemara time. Shabbos Kuf Kaf Daled at the very, 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 very bottom of Kuf Kaf Daled Omud Aleph, in the very bottom of the page. Before we begin, and we're going to talk again about Muktzeh, more and more details and more depth and understanding about this concept of Muktzeh, which we all live by. We're getting more and more understanding here. We'll have to give a nice introduction to summarize what we saw yesterday in order to understand what we're going to see today, Mirz Hashem. And this shares for the Ilu Neshama of my father, Menachem ben Akiva, like always, and for the safe return of the Chatufim, the hostages. So, the Ilu Nishmas, Reb Shmuel Deutsch, the very Chosh Talmud Chacham, was nifter yesterday. Elam of Papa. Before we go to Elam of Papa, which is clearly an answer, we have to repeat and review the question. The question was as follows. We saw that the relationship between Shabbos and Muktzah seemed to be a little bit unclear. Shabbos and Yom Tov are a little bit, the relationship are on the rocks, which means we all know that Yom Tov is more kal, is more lenient than Shabbos, right? There is Oichel Nefesh, the punishment is not as hard. You don't get Koris, you get Malchus, not Chalil and Mezalzel and Yom Tov, but it's not as severe in many ways. Now the question was, we saw a case in which in Yom Tov, you're not allowed to take a piece of wood, which in Yom Tov can be used as firewood. You can't take it and use it as a door stopper or to wedge a kli. Why not? If you talk about Yom Tov, we're talking here about what? An item which it's not a kli, but it's firewood. And Yom Tov I'm allowed to create fire for food. Yeah. And the question is, why can't you use it? So I wanted to say, we make a gzera Yom Tov Atu Shabbos. An interesting idea. If you're going to use that piece of wood, which on Shabbos is super muktzeh, what's super muktzeh? It's worse than kli shemalach toleisu. It has no use. It's like a piece of garbage. Yeah, it's like stones and sticks. Machmas gufoy. If you're going to do it in Yom Tov, you're going to come to do it on Shabbos. That's a very interesting idea. And then the Gemara said, no, there is a Mishnah, just the opposite. When it comes to another Isra de Rabbanon, similar to Muktzeh but different, that's Tircha. There we see that it's not the story. We see that when it comes to a case in which you have fruit on the roof, they're meant to dry there, and they're not Muktzeh. And there's rain coming. The rain will destroy your fruit. On Yom Tov, you are allowed to take those fruit and like glitch them, throw them in a way that's tircha, but not very hard tircha, through a skylight, through a roof window, into the house. And on Yom Tov, you're allowed to do that even for fruit that will not eat this today on Yom Tov. Yeah, even because tircha, in order to avoid hefsed merube, great hefsed, great loss, is allowed on Yom Tov. On Shabbos, it's not allowed. And Shabbos, it's only allowed if you're going to salvage the fruit that you'll eat on Shabbos. On Yom Tov, we extend the heter not only for Yom Tov itself, which is, of course, Oichel Nefesh, even for a big amount of after Yom Tov, you're allowed to do it. So we're kind of not sure what's going on. Because why? We see that sometimes we make Xera, don't do it on Yom Tov unless you do it on Shabbos. And Batircha, we say no. On Shabbos you're not allowed, and Yom Tov you are allowed. So what's going on? And on top of that, we added the famous Mishnah, one of the most famous statements in Shas, Ein bein Yom Tov l'Shabbos aloch nefesh bilvad. The only difference between Shabbos and Yom Tov, meaning the only real ula on Yom Tov as opposed to Shabbos, is Oichel Nefesh. Mashma that the Tircha and Muktzeh are not allowed on Yom Tov. So again, we are making a Gzera. So will anybody tell us, do we make a Gzera to equal as Yom Tov and be as Chomer as Shabbos in the Rabbanons? Or don't we make them equal and Yom Tov remains more lenient? That's a very, right? I think the question became much simpler now. Amar of Pope, Elam of Pope lo kasha. There's no contradiction between the Mishnayos. Ho Bes Shammai, ho Bes Hillel. One of them is Bes Shammai, one of Bes Hillel. Yeah, you guessed right. The more Machmir Mishnah that says not to use the wood and wedge it, use it as a stopper, as a wedge on Yom Tov, is b'Shamai. And the Mishnah that's more lenient about the fruit from the roof is Beis Hillel. How does that work? Ditnan. It says in the Mishnah, it's in Beit Yud Beis Amud Aleph, b'Shamai Omrim. B'Shamai say, and we just started Kuf Kav Daled Amud Beis right now. And motzin הסקות והסלולב ואס ספר תורה לרשות הרבים ובסילון מתירים. We all know that Hoitzah on Yom Tov is mutter, right? You all lived in Chutz La'aretz, probably more than me. And you know the Yom Tov is a lot of fun. Why? Because you can go for a walk, right? Unless you live in places with Eruv, I don't know. Yeah, on Yom Tov you can go and take out stuff from your house to the street. Why? Because Oichel Nefesh. Oichel Nefesh. What do you mean Oichel Nefesh? Says B'S Shammai, Oichel Nefesh means you're not allowed to take a little child, right, in the stroller or in the buggy, lulav. You can't take the lulav or sefer Torah to shosabim, because last time I checked, you don't eat your little child or a lulav or a sefer Torah. They're not really edible, unless the kid's very cute. You say he's edible, but other than that, you don't eat those things. Basically, B'S Shammai say oichel nefesh is only oichel nefesh. You can only take from the reshus yachid to the rabbim and Yom Tov food, or the food needs, or maybe for hot water for washing, maybe physical needs, not these things. And the Silul allow. Silul say, if there's any other need, not only Ochel Nefesh, you need the Sefer Torah, you need to take your child finally to the park to have some time, Avos Obonim, the little one, whatever, yeah, or all these things, but Silul allow you to take those also to Reshus Harabim. Why? So I looked up today in Beitza this evening, and there's the concept of mitoch, meaning Basilil believe that this is very, very important. What I'm about to tell you now will shed light on the whole sugya. Basilil extend, it's like a microcosm that grows. Basilil believes that, well, not always, that sometimes when the Torah allows Oichel Nefesh and Yom Tov, it extends to other areas as well. And then the Gemara discusses maybe even in Shchita, in Bishul, v'chulei. I'm not saying that so, but that's a general idea. The Shammai say, I want to stay in my little square. Oichel Nefesh, no mitoch. I don't know the lomdus there, I have to admit, but that's what they say. How does that affect us? Very nice. The Mishnah that told you, let's start with the Shammai. The Mishnah that told you when it comes to the Bekas on Yom Tov, Bekas and Yom Tov, we say that don't take the piece of wood and wedge it, use it as a door stopper, because on Yom Tov I always want to be more machmir. In other words, just like when or let's say mashilin. Let's talk about the tirchos, it's easier to understand. But Shammai would say, I disagree with the Mishnah that says that on Yom Tov, just because you can take a little bit of fruit to save them for Yom Tov, I extend it and I can take kilos and kilos and tons and take them all and be toreach to save them on Yom Tov. No way. I believe Yom Tov is mitzumtzam, only for what you need, oichel nefesh. These fruit I'm not going to eat in 5 years, let alone today. So I can't save them on Yom Tov and allow tircha. And muktzah, you soon are going to see the connection to muktzah too, later on. Muktzah is the same. We're also very reticent. We're very, careful. Each case has to be judged. If you have a piece of wood on Yom Tov, you want to use it as a door stopper or as two edge. I'm scared that you may come to do the same on Shabbos. And on Shabbos, piece of wood is super duper worst kind of muktzah. Therefore, in Yom Tov, I'm always noted to be more machmir. Right now, you don't see the connection between Tzor and muktzah, but soon we will. Yeah? But now, and Besilos say, no. Besilos say, just like we see that by Hoitzah, I'm allowed to extend beyond the minimum. So too by Tircha, says Rashi, Hach de Meshilin Besilos. The Mishnah allowed you to be Torech beyond Oichel Nefesh on Yom Tov is Besilos. They allow you more than the minimum. Now asks the Gemara though, Eimal, the Shomat lo B'Shama Yoitzah, Tiltu Nishomas Lehu? Oh, that's a question. Although when it comes to Yoitzah, then I understand Shomat, you heard a very choshev Mishnah, very nice, the Mishnah of what? Of Oichel Nefesh, only food. Fine. That's a Doraisa. Of course, in Doraisa, B'Shamar Machmir, and they say, comes Doraisa, you only magbil, you have to be limited to take out food only, and not children or Sforim or whatever that is, right? But in Dorabonon, Tiltul, how do you know it will be Machmir? And anyhow, what's the tiltul of muktzeh? It's the Rabbanon. Maybe the Rabbanon not as machmir. There are two Rabbanons we're dealing with, by the way. Muktzeh, which is using the piece of wood to wedge the door to support the pot, and also tircha. When it comes to muktzeh, ma kesher? That's a derabanan. Just because of machmir doraisa, who says that a derabanan there would also be machmir to be not to take a piece of wood for different use because maybe you'll use it on Shabbos. Ma kesher? On the oraisa of Itzad or machmir, I believe the oraisa it's also. According to Bishama, I'm scared to say it, but I think according to Bishama, you take a book to a sefer to Rosh Hashanah, they'll give you malchus, pashtus. They'll do the oraisa. But here it's the Rabbanon. Who says as machmir here to start the gzera atu Shabbos? Here comes the most basic, not basic, the most fundamental idea. V'tiltul gufei lamishum itzoi. Rhetorical question. Wow, wow, wow. You're asking to separate between itzom reshus l'shus and muktzeh. They are very well connected, and this is a big yesod in the Ritva and the Rambam in everywhere till the Mishnah Berurah. One of the reasons why Chazal established muktzeh. There are many reasons, but according to many Rishonim, this is what the Gemara is saying. The Isser of tiltul of muktzeh came to the world as a derivative, as a way to keep us away from oitzah. Because if you know that even indoors, I can't just take and move whatever I want, the phone and the stones and I don't know, the computer, whatever I want. I'm limited indoors in what I can take or not take. Then I'll be more careful when I take things out. And therefore, yes, says Rashi, it is connected. Says, very nice now, say Shammai, you know what, we are the ones who told you not to take the piece of wood, which in Yom Tov is okay, and use it to wedge the door. You're allowed to use a piece of wood for fire, to cook your Yom Tov cholent. But to take that piece of wood and use it for any other strange shimushim, tzorich gufoi, we don't allow you lest you come to do it on Shabbos. Yes, machmir bes Shammai. Of course, we're machmir on muktzeh on Yom Tov because we're machmir on otzah on Yom Tov. It is one and the same. Because the whole vort of muktzeh came to protect us from otzah, here too we're more machmir on muktzeh, and we invent kilu a more machmir geder of not metalta the thing on Yom Tov which is not muktzeh on Yom Tov, but in Shabbos it is. And even in Yom Tov we equalize it because otherwise people also in Yom Tov will come to do it so. So machmir Yom Tov atu Shabbos and also tiltul of Yom Tov atu doitzah of Yom Tov. They're one and the same. Therefore, it's all very good. So let's summarize. According to Basilil, everything is okay. The doraisa of Yom Tov is more extended and expanded. You're allowed to do things beyond Eichel Nefesh. When it's mutar Eichel Nefesh, also beyond Eichel Nefesh. You can take to the street your Scrabble, if you're allowed to play Scrabble, a Scrabble game, a Monopoly game, whatever, yeah, to the street on Yom Tov, yeah. And so too, we're not guys at the Rabbanans. The Rabbanans that are connected, the Tiltul, by the way, Tiltul, Tircha is also Tiltul. That I saw in the Dirshu booklet, the Medakit from the Ritva. Ritva says, Kol Tiltule. So Muktzah is Tiltul, and the Tircha is also to carry, to take the fruit and throw them. And therefore, all the Tiltulim are derivatives of Eitzah. If we're Mekel and Eitzah, we're also Mekel and Muktzeh and Tiltul and Tircha on Yom Tov. Besilala, Beshamer Machmir on the Oraisa, and also on the satellite Derabanon of that Isa Eitzah, which are the Tiltulim of Muktzeh and Tircha. That's where it goes. So everything is in place. Weiter. So let's now you can see the screen over here. We have the chart over here, which I sent you. And let's just remind ourselves before we continue. Klish malachto leheter. What did we say about mechamel etzel? Machloikes. Rabbi and Abaye. Even klish malachto leheter, you're not allowed to take in order to save it from the sun or from thieves or from anything. According to Rava, it's allowed. Yeah. Klish malachto leisu. It's saying machloikes about tzorich mekoimoy. Rabbi and Abaye don't allow klish malach to lisu tzorch mekoimoy, and Rabbi does allow it for tzorch mekoimoy. Klish malach to lisu. That's halacha. Mechamel etzel, everybody says klish malach to lisu is also. There are three levels. Gufoy, everyone allows. Tzorch mekoimoy, machloikes. Mechamel tells even further, and only for heter, only according to Rabbi. That's mechamel etzel. Fine. Now, The Rav Sover lo had the Rove. Oh, now there is somebody joining Rava's camp. Up until now, Rava was one against two, against Rabba and Abaye. But Rav really, which obviously lived way before Rava was born, but Rav also believes in the concept of Rava that says what? That Tzorch Mekoima is as well as good as Tzorch Gufoy, right? The Klish Melachto Le'isu, you're allowed for Tzorch Gufoy and Tzorch Mekoima. Now, Domer Rav. Let's see what Rav has to say about this. Mar doesn't mean Mr. or Master. Mar is basically like a hoe or like a spade, something to dig, yeah, a digging tool, like we see in Psochi, Mar v'chatzina. A mar is what? Digging tool. What do you think? A hoe, a digging tool. Klishim lachtole, Isu, obviously. Shelo yigonev. Oh, zeu tiltul. Shelo lotzorch ve'osu. Says Rav, you know what is the one type of tiltul you're not allowed to do to klishim lachtole isu? Shelo yigonev. What shelo yigonev under the chart? Shelo yigonev is what? It shouldn't be stolen. Shouldn't be stolen is mechamel etzel. Mechamel etzel you're not allowed to do for klishim lachtole isu. Guys, this is halacha lemaisa, 2024. Yeah. Klishim lachto le'isu, you can move gufo and mekoimoy, lekrove, the Rishonim say here, loch is lekrove, and rav, but mechamel etzel, you're not allowed. Your computer is burning in the sun of Tammuz, you know, in the Mirpeset, you forgot your computer there. I don't know. Find creative solutions, kick it in, but you can't move it. Mechamel etzel, yeah? Even if you're losing, yeah? Okay? And the Rav says the same. Oh, what do you see from Rav? Time is shaloi gonev. You see that you're not allowed to move it so it doesn't get stolen. But what's one level below that? Very good. You see that only the most mekel level we don't allow in melachto le'isu. But both gufo and mekoime we allow. As opposed to Rabbi and Abaye that said what, guys? Rabbi and Abaye said the klish melachto le'isu, tzorich mekoime is osu. Good. Rav is on Rava's team. He joined Rava's team. Frag the Gemara, Eini, is that so? Are you sure that that's Rav's opinion? I'll tell you a story that proves otherwise. The Rav Kahana, Ikla Lebei Rav. Rav Kahana came to the house of Rav, and it was the holy Sabbath day. The Omar, Rav said to the people, Aitule Shuta Lekahana, bring a trap. Don't get me wrong. He puts the trap the right way. Bring a trap for birds for Rav Kahana, leitiv alei. So he should sit on it. Let me explain. Now we all know that a trap is klishim lachtoleisu, because last time I checked, trapping is one of the 39 malachas. Now they had that trap, which I guess if you somehow arrange it upside down, it's a nice chair. And Rav said, bring that trapping tool, that mitsuda, shuta, to Rav Kahana, so he should sit on it. Zok the Ritva, yeah? Well, why did he have to say so Rav Kahana should sit on it? It was clear. It was clear from the context he's going to sit on it. Now, Rav was almost a Tana. He didn't talk stam extra words. Every word he said was measured. Why is he saying, you know, he can bring that Mitsuda to Rav Kahana, so he should sit on it? What's he coming to tell me here? Rav Lemeimra, isn't he coming to tell me first wide line? Isn't Rav coming to hint the double shemlachtu leisu letzorch gufo in letzorch mekoimo loy? Haha! It's coming to tell you like this. I'm stressing, says Rav to my surroundings, that the only reason I allowed to bring that trapping tool here is only for sitting, which is tzoirech gufoi. Gufa is allowed b'klishim lachtoleisu, as opposed to, so people shouldn't think that he's tam removing the trap there because he needs a space over there, because that's tzorich mekomo, which is not allowed. So if he believes that it's not allowed, you're not allowed to move the trap, the klish lachtoleisu for tzorich mekomo, he's not saying only because he's going to sit. He's stressing because you're going to use the tzorich gufoi. Mashma anything not tzorich gufoi is not allowed. No. That's clearly Rav being on whose side? On whose side is Rav now? Rabbi and Abaye. Not Rove. Switching sides. What's going on here? Zog the Gemara, Hachi Amarlu. No, you got it all wrong. You got the story wrong, says the Taltzan. Hachi Amarlu. That's what he really told him. Shkulu Shuta Mekame Kana. It's not what he said. He said, take that trap from the face of Rav Kahana, so he should sit here on the floor on the bench. In other words, I want the area to be clear, so clear away the Klisha Malachta L'Isur, the trap, so Kahana can sit, which means it's punkt yes Tzorech Mekoimoy, and yes, I hold Lakrove, the Tzorech Mekoimoy is allowed. So fakert, it's a proof that Rav is on Rov's side. The Klisha Malachta L'Isur is allowed in order to clear space, to make space, which is Tzorech Mekoimoy. He's on the Rov's side, very clearly he's on Rov's side. Malachta L'Isur is allowed for Tzorech Mekoimoy. Vibai Seima, or another alternative answer, Hosta Mechamel Etzel Hava. Oh, that's a more lomdish answer. And then over there, the trap was really standing. Says Rashi, B'mokim Harala Hoisa. That Metzuda was in a place where it was getting ruined. I don't know, maybe the animals were taking revenge, I don't know. But something bad was happening to that. It was too hard to call this, I don't know, the thieves were coming. It was located in the bad place. And really there was some kind of subtext interest that really the Shuta is being saved from Chamal Etzel. Now Chamal Etzel, nobody allows. Right? Klishim Lachto Leisu, unanimously, everybody agrees, Mechamal Etzel, you're not allowed to move Klishim Lachto Leisu. No. And therefore, all he said was, people shouldn't Chalila think that the only reason Chamal Etzel, so he made it not an excuse, a good excuse, and he said, no, it's also Chamal Etzel, but Lamaisa, I really do need Rav Kahana to sit on it. So that's why he said it. Bring the shooter from over there to over here, so our guest Kahana can sit on it. So people should not think that his primary kavana was Chamal Etzel, because that's Takeoser. Yeah. Rav Mari Barochel. Rav Mari Barochel. Oh, now we're going to talk about Kli Shemalachto Leheter. Oh, question. Kli Shemalachto Leheter. What's Kli Shemalachto Leheter? Yeah, knife, fork, spoon. Are you allowed to move Kli Shemalachto Leheter Mechamal Etzel? You have some nice Malachto Leheter, some nice plastic cups. Malachto Leheter. And they're being destroyed in the sun, or the thieves are going to take them. Am I allowed to bring them to the house? Halacha, yes. But Rabbi and Abaye said, no. Let me check the chart. Kli Shemalachto Leheter, Mechamal Etzel, Rabbi and Abaye said, not allowed. And Rava said it's allowed. Very nice. By the way, the first one who said that was you, dear neighbor. Now let's see a story related to that. He had that sadin, he had pillows. Last time I checked, pillows are are you allowed to sleep on Shabbos? That's what I do half the Shabbos, yeah? A pillow is a friend on Shabbos. And you know when these things were? B'shimsha. Oh, they were in the sun. Some of the sun wasn't good for them, maybe from leather, whatever. The sun was damaging, yeah, or bound to damage the pillows. Also, Rav Mari Barochel, he was the one who had those pillows. They were getting ruined in the sun. He came in front of Rove. Omalei, Marle Tultulinu. Am I allowed to schlep them? Omalei Shari. Rove, loyal to his own shita, said, yes, of course. This is Kli Shemalachto Leheter. Am I allowed to save it from Chamal Etzel? Yes. You're asking me. My name is Rove, and I'm saying yes. Now, however, Rav Mari Barochel, I'm already going to save you some trouble now. He was on the camp of Rabbah. He was, at the moment, a hidden supporter of Rabbi and Abaye. And he said, Isli Achrina. Why is that allowed? I don't really need to move it to what? To where I am living, to the living space. I have another one. I have another pillow. Meaning, it's not really Tzorech Gufoy, because I have another pillow. So now answers Rove is doing something very interesting now. Rove is answering him in his own terms. And he said, Chazul Orchin. Says Rove, well, maybe you need extra ones for a guest. Maybe guests are going to come. So you have another Tzorech Gufoy. She should bring it in for Gufoy, for the Orchin. Answers Rav Mari Barochel, Islinam el Orchin. My house is full of pillows. A whole pillow fight we can do. Yeah, I have enough for all the guests in the world. Amalei, at that point, Rava kind of, got more direct, and he said, well, we're not on the same page. Amalei, Golis Adaitich, you're now showing clearly, arguing with me again and again, that the Kerabah Sviralach, because you hold like Rabbah, and Abai, rather like Rabbah, and Abai too. The what? That clearly, you keep asking me, you want to what? To only be matirit if there is a need of gufo, leklisha malachto leheter. Meaning, mechamel etzel, you don't think it's good enough of a reason for leklisha malachto leheter. So you are a rabbi follower. If so, lekula al mashari ledidach osir. For everybody else, it's mutter. My name is Rove. I think it's absolutely fine. You don't need guest or shmest or anything. The mere fact that the klish machto leheter is being destroyed in the sun rays, that enough for me a reason to allow. You are a follower of Rabbah and Abaye. You follow the other team. So for you, it's Osir. Says the Ritva, he was giving him a knas. He wasn't being spiteful. He said, Aloha, if you follow that opinion, so you have to follow your Rav. So why asking me? You're holding like Rabbah. So I'm passing to you that if you hold like the more Machmir Shita, then you follow the Machmir Shita. You get more Dasra. Omar Rabbi Abba, Omar Rabbi Chia Barashi, Omar Rav. Again, we're talking about Rav. Please remind me whose side is Rav with? Which team is Rav with? Rove, Rav and Rove. Easy to remember. Against Rabba and Abaye. And what does Rav and Rove say? They say that Klish Mlachtu Leheter, you're allowed to move Letzoirech, even what Mlachtu Leheter, also for Mechamel Etzel. And Klish Mlachtu Leisu, you're allowed to move Letzoirech Bekoimoy. But not Mechamel Etzel. Aloch is a Krovit. Very nice. Now, Omar, Machbedus Shel Milsa. Believe it or not, I actually know when we first got married, you got such a thing. Old memories. Machbedus Shel Milsa are little brooms for the table. This it's something from America gave it to us. Yeah, it's an American thing. It's like a small brush for the table, some fancy thing. We never used it. Machbedus Shel Milsa, Mutter Tatal in the Shabbos. A little cute little no broom, yeah, made out of cloth, yeah, which is for the table, is not muktzah at all. Why? You're allowed to sweep the table on Shabbos, so therefore you're allowed to carry it on Shabbos. Okay. Aval shel tomorrow loy, the one made out of the leaves of the palm leaves, which is the broom that we know, the broom that's meant to sweep the floor. Sweeping the floor is Osir and Shabbos. Don't faint. I mean to say, in the olden days, you were not allowed to sweep the floor because your floor would be made out of dirt. And if you sweep the floor inadvertently, psik reisha, you're going to level the ground, right? And leveling the ground is boina indoors, and outdoors is choresh. And therefore, since sweeping is Osir on Shabbos, Mimela, a broom is kli shemalachtu leisu, so that you can't move around on Shabbos. Sounds like quite an innocent statement. I just want to throw in a tiny bit of halacha, even though I always tell you don't say halacha. People should know, because that applies even in our very own street, that the only reason why we do sweep the floor on Shabbos is because all the houses all over Western society are tiled. They are indoors, yeah. But in a garden, it's different. You're not allowed to sweep a garden on Shabbos. Yeah, even if you have no kavanah, you'll be careful. No, you can't. So you should know sometimes people have some machlokes achronim. Let's say have a tiled area inside the garden. So it's not possible to allow to sweep it on Shabbos. Ask the Rov. Why? Because bets are in a garden. In a garden, and that area happens to be tiled. Maybe to yeah, the bets are in the garden. And the whole garden is not tiled. I don't want to be a garden. Yeah. So ask Rov because there's machlokes achronim. I'm just pointing out, just to know. So now. Okay, Rabbi Lozo Oimer Afshel tomorrow. Rabbi Lozo says also the one of tomorrow. What you are allowed to move around on Shabbos. Aha, even the regular broom for the dirt for the ground, which is a klishim lachto yisu, you also allowed to move it. Yeah, just like you can move the table broom. Can we get clarity over this machloikes? Yeah. What's this machlokes over here? Machlokes amayroim. If you're telling me that the tiltul that we discuss is gufoy and mekoimoy, is there in that case Rav says not to move klisha malachtoy le isu for gufoy and mekoimoy? I stress mekoimoy. The Rav Yerov Svirale, right? Rav believes like Rove that you are allowed to move klishim lachto leisu for tzoyrech mekoimoy. So why is Rav the one who says here tomorrow loy? He should say tomorrow, yes, for tzorech mekoimo, you are allowed to move tzorech mekoimo, klish mlach toliso like rove, and that's what Rav believes. Ella must be what kind of tilt are we talking about? Mechamel etzel. You're saying that klish mlach toliso, you're not allowed to move mechamel etzel, and that's true. That rove and kol and the others, klish mlach toliso, such as the broom. Imagine yourself you have a broom. You know what? You live in the bottom floor in some of the places in Lachish, and you have a garden broom, which is clearly Klish Mastolisu, and it's going to get destroyed. It's going to get stolen. Oh, at the end of the garden, can I quickly bring it into the shack, into the doors? It shouldn't be stolen. No, no, you can't. Maybe find other solutions. No. Why? What is it? Mechamel etzel, to save the kli, for the person with the kli, and Klish Mastolisu. Sak and Rav allowed it. Nobody allows it. Nobody allows it. B'chlal. So who's allowing it? And if so, Be'al Emer Rablozo Avshal tomorrow, Sakin or Rablozo say the one of tomorrow is allowed. Mela Rav forbade it, that's good. But the question is about Rablozo. How can Rablozo say you're allowed to move it around? Mechitesi. How can Rablozo say that the one of tomorrow, which is Muktzeh, which is what? Klish Malachtu Isu. How can you tell me you're allowed to move it to Mechamel Etzel? Nobody allows Mechamel Etzel, Klish Malachtu Isu. Not even the most left-wing opinions. Answers the Gemara. Again, you got the Nusach wrong. Really, the discussion, meaning the prohibition of moving this broom, that's, let's say, for the garden, for the dirt, is when we said it's not allowed to be moved, it's mechamel etzel. Rablozo never argued. That's when he got the brisa mistaken. He doesn't say Rablozo allows it. It says v'chen Amar Rablozo, that Rablozo shows his support to Rav, and just like Rav said that the tomorrow you're not allowed to move mechamel etzel, Rablozo gave his stempel to the words of Rav, and everybody believes the klisha malachtu isu you cannot move mechamel etzel. Is that aloche? And by the way, Rashi says here, and the Ritvo, and I'm sure other Rishonim, they say this is the source. We see here that seems to be the conclusion, and aloche is the kovet. Today, Tafshin Pei Hey, Halacha Lekove, you can move your Klish Nacht release to Gufa Mekoimoy, you cannot move it Mechamel Etzel. Yes. Zog der Heilige Mishnah. Stam le'aziz asur shum davar l'shchani hayakar. And I'm thanking you for asking it. And if you look at the chart, I made a column in the chart that moving something stam for no apparent reason is not allowed at all. Says Mishnah Berurah. Why? Because we see it hinted before. Because remember, let's now summarize. This whole business is all derivative of the historical process of what? Gzeras Kelim. They didn't allow you to move anything. Then they slowly allowed more and more, right? But they never allowed you to move for nothing. They allowed you Gufoi, Mekoimoi, and Mechamel Etzel, or Kelim. But if you start to move something because you're bored, back and forth for no apparent reason, then it's then no, that's not allowed. Question is what's called no reason. People say, psychologically, people like to move to play with items. It helps them. Ask your local Orthodox, who. I don't know. I have my opinion, but it doesn't matter. I'm saying that's another point. But to move for no reason is not allowed in Echanami. Not even later. And not even according to Oven. Yeah. It stops by Chamel Etzel. That's where it's allowed. Zuk the Mishnah.
Just like the example I gave with the corkscrew.
Yeah. The course is a lot of fun to go like that. Yeah, I don't think it's allowed. However, I'll tell you a corkscrew is not dafka an example because the Mishnah Berurah brings down it's Machlokes Rishonim that maybe Klei Shulchan, because Klei Shulchan there was never exer to begin with, like the knife, and maybe today knife is the fork is the same, so maybe them you are allowed to play with. Whenever I play with a knife and the fork, I start playing with them and then I always stop. I always start with a kula and then I say maybe I should do more. Almost like a repetitive, ceremony on Shabbos. But that's so the Klei Shulchan is a shaila because food you are allowed to move for no reason because food was never gzera. Food is not muksa ever. This prohibition only applies to things that were originally osur, but food wasn't. So there is a lot to talk here more. When we start Mishnah Berurah, maybe one day that would be a good topic to talk about. Divine we're 5 Mishnah to the minutes. We have 5 minutes for the Mishnah. Let's see the next Mishnah. So by the way, let's give an introduction. So a lot of people know about the concept called noilad, discussed more in Beitza than in Shabbos in general. And noilad means something that was, what's noilad? Born. Something that was, so to speak, created on Shabbos, yeah, in the middle of Shabbos. You're not allowed to use. It's a form of muktzah because when Shabbos came in, that item was not in the world or was not in the world in its current form, right? And we all know that muktzah, as well as many areas in Shabbos, everything is determined by when Shabbos came in. If this thing wasn't here when Shabbos came in, it's the worst muktzah possible, right? He wasn't here b'chlal. He wasn't osir. He just wasn't. Yeah. So noilad is a concept. However, I want you to clear your minds from that, because according to the Ritva, at the beginning of our Gemara, the Gemara does not know about noilad or does not believe in noilad. Yeah. So just bear that. That's one I saw the Ritva this evening. Yeah. Let's see the Mishnah. Kol kelim nitolin b'Shabbos, shivrei nitolin. Please erase the word imohin. According to most Rishonim, the word imohin is not here. All kelim that are allowed to be carried on Shabbos, non-muktzah kelim, kosher kelim, shivrei nitolin, which means, let's say a kli was broken. I'm not saying when on purpose. You have a broken kli. It used to be a nice bowl. Now it's a shard. It's a piece of a broken piece from the bowl. Nitolin, you're allowed to take it on Shabbos. Bilvat you oisin en melocha, period. Which means, as long as the kli does any kind of malacha, even if the malacha is different to the original malacha that it did, that it functioned when it was part of a kli, you're still allowed to move it around. And the Mishnah will right away give us good examples. Shivrei areva lechatzas ben espia chovis. Let me explain. Areva is a kneading bowl. It's a bowl for dough. You knead in it, and it broke. Originally, it was meant to contain the dough. Now it's broken. You're allowed to take the broken piece and cover. Instead of being a receptacle, it's a cover. It can cover with it the top of the barrel. Says the Ritva, you see not only a different malacha, even opposite malacha. It mamish just switch sides, yeah? From one side to the other, yeah? From Likud to Meretz. Mamish from being the receptacle became a cover, but that's okay. As long as it can be used for any type of kli, any function,